What's up guys, and welcome to this brand new video here where for this time we're not talking about Google Ads as we normally do on this channel, but instead how to maximize your sales and ROAS or performance on your online store in general, no matter where your traffic is coming from and no matter how much you're spending and what you're doing in terms of advertising right now. Because I feel one thing that a lot of people miss really is how to squeeze out more sales and more profits from your store before then spending more money on advertising. And it's something that I see with pretty much everyone that asks me questions and a lot of my clients as well. So welcome to the e-commerce store testing pyramid, how to maximize your ROAS and profits without spending more on ads. Now this is a very sort of basic concept that I'm trying to bring across here, but I hope it will be helpful. What we will basically do in this video is, first of all, I want to tell you when you should really be testing, and then I will tell you different sort of ways that you can test. So based on your situation, what is the test, basically the type of test that you should run. So if you stick to the end of this video, you will learn what your situation is and what's the ideal testing method or the ideal thing that you should test in your store right now. This being said, the first problem that we have when we talk about testing is that many e-com store owners don't run tests on their stores or don't test properly in the first place. I see this with a ton of people that become my clients. They are all about the ads, and don't get me wrong, ads are extremely important, but if you don't test and improve your store, you are not getting the most out of your ads. So the first problem is that most businesses don't run actual tests on their store in the first place. Then the second issue is that many store owners rather put more money in ads than taking a second look at their store. If you are only spending, let's say, $500 a month on ads, before you struggle to find an additional 500 so that you can spend 1,000 a month, or before you really do all these sort of costly things, I would take a look at your store first. Maybe there is some way that you can squeeze out more money. And of course, if you spend $20,000 a month on ads, sure, more ads most likely will generate more sales. You have a proof of concept, but also here, the more traffic you have, of course, the bigger of a difference a change in your store can make. So these are the two key problems that I observe all the time. And in the first step here in this video, we want to identify your situation so that we can then decide what to do. What is your situation? We can roughly put your situation in one out of three categories. And important here is they're fairly vague and they're not like super specific, okay? So the first situation is you're just starting, you have a few thousand monthly visits, right? You get 50 clicks a day, 100 clicks a day. Maybe you get a sale here and there, not necessarily on a daily basis yet. This is the first type of store. The second is that you are running for a while now. You get like, let's say up to 20 to 30,000 monthly visits. You're making daily sales, maybe up to like 10, 20 sales or something like that a day. So you have a business that is actually generating money, most likely also some profits, but it's not like on a crazy volume level or anything like that yet. And the third level is if you have an established store, like very or somewhat predictable income, it's already generating decent amount of sales, you have usually 30,000 monthly visits or more. Of course, if you sell super expensive items, this can be the case with way less already, but that's generally the three categories that I want to bring across here. And as I said, very important is that these are not static numbers. So don't think, oh, I have 17,000 clicks, so I belong, or I have 27,000 clicks and I belong to the medium category. Of course, there is a gradual overlap on all these different categories. You know, in some cases the numbers should be higher or lower, but just as a very rough orientation. Sales and profits, of course, should be taken into consideration as well. Then based on the situation, here is basically the optimization pyramid. We have low-level changes, mid-level changes, and top-level changes. The low-level changes, obviously, as you might guess, have a small impact, whereas the mid-level changes have a medium impact, and the top-level changes are the ones that have a really, really big impact. And when you should use each of them is in the following way. Pretty straightforward, right? If you have a good ROAS and good sales volume, then you should focus on low-level changes. If you are in the medium category, then you are all about the medium level changes. And if you are in the first stage, which is you have a bad ROAS, or you are just on a very small volume, or you just get clicks with very limited sales, then you should be all about the top level changes. So it's like the backwards way. The bigger you are, basically, the bigger your store, the more sales you make, and also the more profitable you are, the closer you should be at the bottom of this pyramid with your testing actions, right? Hope that makes sense so far. Then, the better you're doing right now, the riskier it is to run complex tests. So if you make 100 sales a day super profitably and you change your entire store, chances are, or it's somewhat likely that you're not doing better than before, right? The risk may outweigh the potential advantages. Like you get some issues with the optimization, with the algorithm, because it was like used to your store. Also, the chance that you outperform, let's say, a 500% return on ad spend on a large scale is relatively low. You can still do it on a sort of split test or for some time, but usually the bigger you are, the better you're doing right now, the riskier it is to run a very, very complex test.
Step 2 is choose the right changes, the right things to actually test in your situation. That's sort of the key here, right? And what I mean with this is that let's assume you are in the low-level change category, which means you are doing very, very well, you have regular sales, profitable. Then you should generally sort of focus on these things. Twisting a product's name and title. Let's say you have a very long and bulky title that is very complex, very hard to read, not really useful keywords or something, whatever. Twisting this, if you get enough traffic, like if you get 500 clicks a day to a product, just twisting the name and title for the better could mean an improvement in sales. Could earn you another $5,000 a month in sales, $10,000 a month in sales, just this tiny thing. Or changing button colors and CTAs. I'm not a big fan of making these tiny changes, but if you get 1,000 clicks a day to your product pages or 2,000 clicks a day and you change the color from like a hard to see brown or black or something to a red or orange or something like that, depending on the context of your page, of course, this could really increase your your conversion rate, let's say from 1% to 1.2% or something along those lines. If you get enough traffic, this makes a huge difference. Or adding or removing banners and badges, right? Like trust badges or adding a banner with free shipping or something like that. These are changes that most likely will not make or break your store. They will not triple your conversion rate. They will not destroy it. Most likely they have a very small positive or negative impact. So that's what you want to do if you have a lot of traffic, and this of course allows you to test even small things properly. So the goal here is to further increase your conversion rate from, let's say, 2.5% to 3%. Nothing super fancy, because as I said before, we want to stay somewhat risk-free. Of course we could get it to 2.5 from 2.5 to, let's say, 4 if we do something massive, but then at the same time we might also risk getting down to 0.5%. What I'm referring here to is not necessarily a split test. Split tests are also possible where you send 50% of traffic to this, 50% of traffic to another variation of the page. What I'm talking about here right now is that you make a change, then you run with this change only, and then you track how things have developed, and you either go back or you keep the new thing going. Then we talk about the medium level changes, and as I said before, medium level, medium size, etc. Here, what you can do, for example, is using a different set of images on a specific product. You can change from white background to normal or ambient background. You can use people in your images or something like this, or using a higher quality image. This isn't really a test, this is like an upgrade, of course. If you have a low quality one, getting a high quality one is a no-brainer and not really a test in this case. Rearranging the product page is another example. Maybe you want to get the reviews closer to the top and the rest to the bottom. Maybe you want to, rearrange the video if you have one. Maybe you want to basically restructure how your product page looks like. Has a pretty big upside potentially, because of course the product page is the absolute key in your online store. But you also have the pricing, and this is also super important. If your product costs $50 right now and you test it at like $39.99 or $45, if this is still profitable for you, of course, this can mean a massive increase in conversion rates and conversions. Or the other way, if you charge $50 right now and you want to try to charge $59, chances are that you get a very, very similar conversion rate, but this then of course means way higher profits for you. So adjusting in both ways makes sense, because ultimately it's about the highest ROAS in combination with sales volume, and not only one of them, of course. In the end, it's all about the final profits that you make from this. Another thing would be introducing or removing discounts. If you're not offering any sort of discount, let's say 5% off, exit in 10, something like that, this is a great way to test it, because they are not, like, again, making or breaking your conversion rates, but they definitely make a noticeable impact on your overall sales. And last but not least, adding an informative video if you didn't have one before could also be a pretty big change, because suddenly people can interact with it, they can see how your product looks like, and this has the potential of lifting your conversion rates quite a bit, especially if you place it like very prominently on your product page. The goal here is a fairly big impact. Let's say you're getting from a 1% to a 2% conversion rate, right? All the things that I just mentioned have the potential to lift your conversion rates in a bigger way than in the low-level examples. So they really have the potential to get your store from, let's say, just breaking even and being a little bit profitable to actually getting very nice profits in your pocket, or from getting, let's say, $3,000 a month in profits to 5,000, or from 10 to 15 or something like that, right? They have this potential because they're pretty big, especially if you make these changes on all pages, and you notice that these changes that I just mentioned here are pretty much all product page focused, because in most online stores, the product pages, especially if you use Google Ads and Google Shopping, are the ones that matter the most. And then we have the top level change examples. Here, you could, for example, use an entirely different theme. So this is for people that are struggling with sales, they're barely getting sales, they're not getting too much traffic, so testing like a small thing would take a lot of time. But changing the theme entirely, of course, is such a drastic change that just with like 50 clicks a day or 100 clicks a day for a couple of days, you should notice some sort of difference already. And this is the point, of course. So using an entirely different theme might be one idea. And if it doesn't work well, you can just revert back to the old theme. Or changing the product page completely, like the entire design of it, the entire layout of it. Maybe you want to test where the pricing is located, or where the add to cart button is above the fold. You want to maybe rearrange it completely if you use Shopify. Maybe you want to use just one column instead of these typical 2-column pages. Making a massive change to the entire product page, or maybe even using something like a landing page builder to build your product page. This is also, of course, a top-level change. And we have even switching the niche or sub-niche. This should always be an option to keep in mind. If you are really not getting any results with what you're doing, whether you are running a store for a very long time now and you want to change something about it, or you just got started and you aren't committed to your niche anyway, think switching the niche, or at least the sub-niche, like changing the exact products you have in your store, is also something worth considering. Now, that's not really a test of the store itself in this sense, because it's really more about the overall scope of your business and your strategy rather than that. But it's still very, very important. Like, if you just don't get any results with what you're doing right now, and you tested the other things before, for example, because you don't know what to do, then thinking about switching the niche or sub-niche, so the products that you actually list or the sub-niches you have in your product and your store, might be a very, very good idea, because that's definitely a top-level change as well. So the goal here is getting off the ground in the first place. So for example, if you have almost zero sales, getting like a healthy 2% conversion rates, or getting from unprofitable to profitable, or you just started and you want to make sure that what you've done so far didn't have an impact, and now you want to make a drastic change to see if this new change may actually do it for you. The goal is getting off the ground and really making a drastic change. Of course, you can also do it with like massive clicks, but keep in mind this will be pretty risky if you have a lot of traffic and also, of course, sales already. So a few things to consider when doing these things here is, first of all, the more data you have, the quicker you can run a test and the more likely you will see an actual difference. If you get 2,000 clicks a day and you run a test of your product page for your most visited product, chances are that within like a matter of days you get enough data to say, okay, was this a good test or a bad one, right? Whereas if you just get 30 clicks, probably takes you like 2 weeks or something like that to actually get proper results, maybe even longer than that. Depending on how much traffic you get, as I said, you should run your test for anywhere between, let's say, 2 days and 14 days, and then move on with the variation that worked best. So if you're changing your entire theme and you get like, or let's say you change your entire theme and you get 100 clicks a day, I would say that after around a week, you should see some sort of statistically relevant results. I don't give you like a calculator or an exact number here, because I know people will jump on it and they will, do it exactly like this, but often it's not that clear. And you should really at least get a couple of hundred of clicks to the page that you're testing or to the thing that you're changing. Of course, if you change the entire theme, then pretty much every page will count as an experiment here. But 2 to 14 days is a pretty good benchmark. If you get massive clicks every single day and you change your product page, typically after 2 or 3 days, you should notice something already.
And then in the end, don't test too many things at once, especially when you are doing good. That's what we said before. But basically what you have to keep in mind is that if you have a big store with lots of traffic and lots of sales, the goal should be to identify which are the things that are working better and which aren't. If you run a small store where things are not going well, you don't have the profits and everything, here you can really experiment with everything, right? Mess up with the product page, mess up with the theme, with everything, because here it's not about scientifically step by step, it's really about making a massive drastic change and see if that actually works, because we don't care which was the final piece that got us there if we're just starting. In the beginning, it's all about just getting profitable, making sales, and doing it like that. But if you are bigger, if you make sales, if you get clicks and everything, you should be about finding out which was the actual change that caused the improvement of your store. So I hope that this actually made sense, but that's how you should, in my opinion and from my experience with working with clients from almost zero to over $1 million a month in sales purely online, not to mention physical sales. This is what my experience basically taught me when it comes to testing these things. So if you think, or if you feel like this was valuable to you, please leave a like below this video, and of course also subscribe for more e-commerce videos, more Google Ads videos as I normally do. Ecom, Google Ads, and dropshipping is what we talk about here on this channel. In the comments, you can let me know how you have done it before. Like, do you test your store at all? Or is this like the first time that you will now go about doing some sort of testing to your store? I think it's super important. So let me know in the comments how this has gone for you and if you've done it in the past. And with this being said, I really hope you got some value out of this video. I wish you a great day, and I hope that I see you in the next video again. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell if you don't want to miss out. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.